Hello guys, welcome to my channel. In this video we are going to create a Skype clone like what you are seeing on the screen now. On the right hand side is my real device, so on the left hand side, on the other side is my emulator. So I want to show you that these apps are going to link each other. They are going to communicate with a video call, and I have another real device that is not visible on the screen for you to see. That one is the one that you will see my face as I will be talking through it. You are going to see me, so from there you will see me that I will appear on the one that is on the screen now, using that one to record myself from here. So this app, the way it is that if I open the app has a splash screen. It has a splash screen. If I open it, you can see the way it's showing like Skype. A user can register. A user can click on registration and register, like the way this one is. If I click on, you see that this one, the reason why I'm clicking is not working is a real device. It's not on the system. It's a real device here or with me here. But on the emulator, if I click register, I can log in. So users have already been registered. So I just want to show you the main thing, which is for us to make our video call like the Skype. So on this side, I'm going to log in into different accounts. Let me create accounts on this real device. Let me create an account. Just call it Williams Bricks. Then I will just write bricks@gmail.com. Then I will give it a password, and whenever I'll click on register, show registration successful, it will take me to login. So once a user is registered, if you check on the browser, you can see the user has been registered on the Firebase database. You see the user information. So let me use the user information and log in. Let me view our apps again. Then I will write bricks. bricks@gmail.com. I will enter the password. Then I will log in. Login successful. So on this device here, I have another user that I have already registered. His name is look at the user. The user is James Bond, and is bond@gmail.com. Is bond@gmail.com. So the password is 123456. So I'm now going to log in with James Bond here, which is bond@gmail.com. Password 123456. So let's just wait for it to log in. Login successful. So now everyone is on the dashboard page. So let me log in on my real phone here, which is not visible to you guys. Is that side that you are going to see my face. So this app has you can chat, you can create question and answer for everybody. It just like a school. Then you can create you can set question, people can answer. Then you can chat with each other, you can make your video call, and you can record your calls. You can record everything that you guys are doing and share it on YouTube or as a direct link. So now I want to create a code that every one of us, remember that the code must be, when one user create a code, the user is going to share it among everyone, so that everyone will be able to be in that room. But if the code is different, you are not going to see yourself in that room. If there are 5 rooms and 5 code and there are 25 participants, each of the code will be each of the room. If this room has different code and there are 5 persons, it's only those 5 people that will see themselves. If this room has different code and different people, it's only those people that will see themselves. So I want all of us, 3 of us, because there are 2 devices, one emulator, one real device, another device that you are not seeing. Everyone is going to share the same code. So on this real device that you are seeing, I'll just create a code. I will call this code as test 1 2 3. You can create any code, it will work. Then I'll click on join meeting. So I'm going to use that test and also join here now. You can see that it's loading. Then I'll click on, let me wait for this user to enter first, the first person to enter. So the first person has entered. The first user has entered. So you can see it's showing where I just face it up. So let the second user join. So the second user is emulator, so you'll not be able to see very well. Let me switch this camera. If that, just screenshot. So you can see that they have joined. This user has joined. So you can hear my voice also. So let me join from the real device. So I'm not going to speak through this mic again. I want to speak through the video call and show my face for you guys to see me. So the meeting code is test 1 2 3. So let me start. Let me leave the mic. I want to do the video call for you guys to see. So my device is connecting. You soon see my face. Hello guys. Although my background is not that clear, I don't have much light. I think you'll soon see my face. So guys, can you see me now? I'm connected. I'm using a real device now. So hope you enjoy this kind of app. So this is the kind of app that I want to create. So stay tuned. So now we can also create chats. can chat here. So before I chat, I'm just going to enter my name. Let me call my name as my network is bad, that's why I'm having this glitch. So since I'm the first person chatting, I don't need to enter my name, but anybody that want to join the chat is going to enter his or her name. So let me use this device to chat. Already the app has stored our information due to my first test that I tested on this app. So I can create a poll. So let me not waste much time. This is the app that we are going to create. So please subscribe to my channel. Do share the video with friends and enjoy the tutorial as we go through it. Thank you. Please help me subscribe to the channel, share with friends. Thank you. So this is the app we are going to create now. So let's create a new project. We're going to use an empty activity. We'll click on next. We're going to call it Skype clone. I think calling it Skype clone in Android is okay. So we are using Java, API level 20. Let's put it on API level 26 because the API where the SDK we are going to be used required Android 6 and above. So let's click on finish. So we need to bring in some dependencies. First of all, I will bring in the Android dependency for material X. I think my project is still syncing. Let's wait for a while. This is according to the grade of your system. So our project has been successfully synced. So let's add the dependency that we need. Please, there are some changes I will do in my Android Studio which I don't think you shouldn't bother yourself because I'm using Android version 4.0. So I'm going to add the material design. Oh, sorry for that. Let me get it again. So let's go to our main activity to design our login page. We're going to use a linear layout. We'll be setting the orientation to be vertical. Then I'll be setting my background as color code hash 292D36. So inside this linear layout, I need an image view for the logo. I'll set the image view to be match parents, the height to be wrap contents, then the drawable source. Let me bring in the logo. I'll paste it on my drawable file. So the logo, I'm going to set the margin top to be 20 dp. Then the next thing I need to do is I want to have a text view which will display a welcome message. It's just an hard-coded welcome message, welcome text. The text color, I'm going to give it the color that of the type of Skype, which is #00 AFF0. So sorry about that. Please, if I'm not fast, you can fast forward the video from the YouTube setting. So after this text, we need a linear layout to hold our edit text and our button. This linear layout, I'm going to set margin to be 40 dp, orientation to be vertical. So inside the linear layout, I'm going to have two edit text and one button, and one text view for forgot password, and another text view for already have a if do not have account, register. So the way this text is not okay, it's not well designed. So we are going to design a drawable resource. In the drawable resource, we'll set some property, then we'll now bring it and set it as a background, as the drawable background of this edit text. So let's do it. We're going to set the selector as shape. Then inside the shape, we are going to have strokes. The stroke is going to have color of so let's set the background. You can see the way it is now. So we are going to copy the same thing. We are going to copy it and duplicate it. Now let's set a drawable vector, a vector asset. This vector asset will set one for the email and one for the password. Please just watch as I do all this because they are not difficult. You can do them. It's very easy. But when it comes to the technical aspect, I'm going to explain them very well. So let's design our button. We are going to go to the drawable file and design the button and set it as a background. So want to design already have account register. Do not have account register. So want to design. So we are going to use a linear layout. Then in the linear layout, we are going to have two text view. The text view one will show don't have account, another one will show register. So when the user click on the register, it will lead the user to the registration activity. So let's do it. Looking at it, I think our design is okay. So the remaining thing we need to do is to give it an ID. Before giving it an ID, we are going to create our registration activity and copy this code to the registration activity, and now give it another edit text, which is the edit text for name, and we change the button to btn register to button register. So let's do it. We'll create a new activity, an empty activity. We'll call it registration activity. We'll click on finish. So I just bring in the other layout to this place. So I just need to change this code here. Then I will now duplicate the edit text for name. So our drawable resource here, we are making a mistake. Please, I'm sorry for not seeing this all this way. Here is supposed to be password, and here is supposed to be email. So the name aspect, we are going to bring in another drawable, another vector asset. So let's go and make the changes on our login. So this is our login. If you check the vector asset here is supposed to be email instead of password, and this place supposed to be password. So let's run our app and take a look at it the way it is. So while our emulator is coming up, we also need a splash screen activity, whereby you know what it is. The first activity that will be displayed to the user as a welcome activity with either logo or message. So that activity, we need to create that activity so that whenever a user open our app, so that activity will be displayed to the user before it will lead the user to the main activity or any of the activity we want the user to go to. So let's create a new activity. We are going to call it a splash screen activity. We'll use empty activity. We'll just name it splash activity. So what we need on this, but let's check our app. It's not yet ready. The emulator is not yet ready. So what we need on this our splash screen activity is just the image that we are going to put there. So what we are going to do is that we are just going to remove the constraint layout and give it a linear layout. And we are going to give a gravity of center, then we'll give it a background color of #292D36. So in this place we are going to bring in an image view. We'll set the image view as the width to be wrap content, the height to be wrap content. Then we bring it from where it is, from the drawable. So this is all what we need on this activity. Let's check if our app is ready. So our app is ready, but we still have our action bar there and we don't need it. So let's rerun the app and see the way it's going to be. So I think it's okay like this, but we need to bring in our splash screen. We need to bring in our splash screen. And secondly, this color, I don't like it. Let me remove it. Alright, so it's okay. The way it is, our app is looking good. So the next thing that we need to do, let's bring in the splash screen. So for us to bring in the splash screen, we just need to go to our manifest file. But before then, let's not forget to set our internet permission since we are here. So we are going to remove the intent filter from the main activity. Then we'll take it to the splash screen activity. Then we go to our splash screen. We are going to write some code here. We'll say handler is equal to new handler dot post delay new runnable. Then here we set how many second, 4000 millisecond. We set it as 4 seconds. Then after the 4 seconds, we want it to go to the main activity, which is the login activity. So we set our new intent splashed activity dot this, then main activity dot class. So let's rerun our app and see. So you can see it's working. So the next thing we are going to do now is, I think at this point, our login activity, our main activity for the login is done. The registration is done. The registration we need to change here to this button to register. Then this welcome message, we don't need to write welcome back. Only welcome is okay for the first timer. While somebody that is coming back to login we can say welcome back. So looking at it now, everything is okay. Email, password. So why I use input type password, so that the password will not be visible while one is typing into the text box, and the app should detect that it's an email, because if you enter any other thing without @.com, it will detect that it's not an email, although Firebase can help us to do that. So everything is okay from the app for the XML. Then let's give some IDs. So let's give ID to our button. For our button, we are going to, for the login button, we are going to give ID btn_login. Then the password ID password_login. Then for the email, ID email_login. So for this don't have an account register, we are going to give an ID so that one can click on it. We'll call it txt_go to register. Go to register. Then for the registration page, let's start from this id txt underscore go to login. Then for the, we don't need to give an id to that text view. For the button, btn underscore register. For the edit text password, password underscore register. The edit text email, email underscore register. For the name, name underscore register. So everything is all right now. We need to design our dashboard activity. So let's create a new activity, an empty activity. We'll call it dashboard activity. This is where the main action will take place. So we just need a little design on this dashboard activity. I'm going to use linear layout. Then I will set the background as our main color. Then gravity for anything inside to be center. Then I'm going to use card view. I will set the card view to have match parent, the width to be match parent, the height to be 280 dp. Then I'm going to set margin right and margin left 40 dp. I'll still set the background, though it has the color white. I'll still set it as white. Then card elevation 16 dp. So I think is okay. So we need an image view and one text view, one edit text and one button. So the image view is for the logo, the text view is for a little write-up, while the edit text is to enter the code to join meeting, while the button is to click join and join the meeting. So linear layout will be match parent and height will be wrap content. Orientation is going to be vertical. So inside this linear layout, I'm going to have, as I said, one text view, which will be match parent and wrap contents. Text color is going to be black. The text alignment is going to be center. Then the text is going to be, please share this code with your friend with then we need a line break. I think it's okay like this. Let's bring in the edit text. Set it as match parent, wrap contents, margin top 10 dp, so we need a background. We need to design a background for it. Let me give this text view. $10 So we need to design a background for this text, edit text input. We name it as code layout design. Then we want it to be shape. With a color of I think we are done, but there's something that I just want the design to be in the center. Yes, I think we are done. So everything is all right now. So we are done with our UI. In the next activity, we are going to, but before then, let's give this an ID, the BTN. Let's give this BTN an ID. Alright, so in the next video, we are going to go into the code aspects, the main activity.java or the dashboard activity.java to do our code functions so that the app can carry out the function of a video conference app. So thank you. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share with friends. Your subscription is free, but it's very, very important to me. Please do so and share with friends. See you in the next video. Hello guys. So guys, in the last video we completed our UI for the login activity, which is the main activity, the registration activity, and the dashboard activity. So from now henceforth, we are going to add the Firebase to our app so that we enable the user to register and be able to log in. So for that reason, we are going to add Firebase to our app. So for us to add Firebase to our app, this is what we are going to do. You are going to go to this tool panel, click on Firebase. We are going to be needing the authentication, so we click on and accept changes. So it has been added. So the next thing we need is we need to add is our Firestore. So another thing we are going to add is Firebase Analytics. So this is not okay here. So now all these the required things that we need for Firebase has been added. These are the dependency that have been added, the auth and the Firestore, and this Google GMS service has been added. And if you go to our this build or Gradle, you see that this one has been added. So these are the things we need. So the next thing we are going to do is this. We are going to go to Firebase. We'll create a new project. I'm going to call it Skype clone. You choose your country. You accept the Google Analytics terms. You create projects. So one other thing that we need is the Jitsi meeting SDK. We need to add it to our Android Studio. So we are going to copy this. Go to our Android Studio. This point. And paste it here. We'll go further and copy this one here. We'll go to this place, the model app. And paste it. So we sync our projects. Please, I need to use another Firebase account. So I'll create a new project. I'll call it Skype clone. So let's check our Android Studio. Everything has been synced successfully. Still creating. I need to give this project another name because while I was creating the app, this is what I name it as. So let me just call it So I name it as Skype clone in Android. So before then, let's just wait for it to finish creating. So we need to set up this authentication. So let's bring in our package name. So let's download the Google service.json. Please bear with me, my internet connection is very bad. So guys, we have downloaded the google.json, google service.json. Let us take it from where it is. You just copied it from where it is. You go to your Android Studio. At this point, you click this Android, then you click Project. You click here and expand it. So at this app level, you paste it here and click OK. Then you go back and change it to Android. So you have added the Google JSON service to your app. Then there's a dependency that we need to add again. We need to add this dependency. Then sync your project. So I was having error for the Firebase Analytics, so I now decided to give it a specific version. Before it was just like that, there's no specific version for it. So that is that. We have successfully added our Firebase Analytics. We have added everything that we needed to our app. So let's proceed to write our code to connect our app to the Firebase and to the GC, and connect the GC SDK also, so that we can perform registration for a particular user and also authenticate the user whenever the user wants to log in and perform video call. Before then, there's something that we need to do on our Firebase account. We need to come here, click on Firestore, we'll come back to that while that is loading. So let's come to our main activity. Now, when a user comes to our app, we want the user to register before the user can have access to anywhere in the app. So we'll need to get user email. This is login. Let's come to the registration aspect. So we need the name, email, and password. So we have given everything an ID for all this. So let's go to our registration activity and bring in everything. So bring in the variable for all the inputs. So we have a private. We need edit text. We call it edit text name, edit text email, and edit text password. We also need a button. Call it button register, and we also need a text view. In case if the user is already registered, the user should go back to the login page. Call it text view already registered. So let's reference all these buttons. So we say edit text email is equal to find view arrow.id dot email register. Edit text password is equal to find view arrow.id dot password register. Edit text name is equal to find view by id arrow.id dot name registered. So another one, we have a button registered is equal to find view by id arrow.id dot btn register. Then we have a text view already registered is equal to find view by id arrow.id dot, we name it as go to login. So let's set our values. For the text already registered, we say text already registered dot set onClick listener, new onClick listener, start activity, new intent, registration activity dot this, and main activity dot class, so that it will go to the other activity. So I think all these are set. Let me check what I was trying to do. We need to, when you click on this Firestore, it will take you to this point. You click on create database, put it in test mode, and press OK, and enable it. While that is going on, we need to set an onClick listener to our button. Button registered does set onClick listener, new onClick listener. So here now, when the user click on button on the registration button, what do we want the app to do? We want the app to register the user. So we need a Firebase to do that. So come here, we say Firebase auth Firebase auth. So we'll now come and we have brought in the Firebase package. So we now need to instantiate our Firebase. So we say auth is equal to Firebase auth.get instance. So at this point we can now use the Firebase. So before we be able to register the user, we need to get all the information entered by the user from the edit text, from all the input edit text. So we say string name is equal to edit text name dot get text dot to string. We set another one, string email is equal to edit text email dot get text from the user dot to string. We also put the same thing for the password. Password is equal to edit text password dot get text dot to string. So we just get all this from the user. So the next thing is that once the user enter all this information, we need to send this information to the database. So what are we going to do? We'll say auth dot create user with email and password we need email, and we need password. Dot add incomplete listener, new incomplete listener. So here we close it with this. Then the next thing, if task dot is successful, if the task is successful, then we need to tell the user that the registration was successful. So we use a toast message and say registration successful. Registration successful. After the user has entered, and once the information has been taken from the user and inserted into the database through this code, this line of code, then we give the user message that registration was successful. Then after registration was successful, what do we want the app to do? We want the app to send the user to the main activity so that the user should log in. So we use intent. Start activity, new intent is equal to registration activity dot this and main activity dot class. So the user will be sent back to the main activity. Then if the user want to log in, how do we do for the login? For the login also, but before then, let's give a progress dialog for that registration so that the user should see that something is going on. We use a progress dialog. We set it as progress dialog. We initialize the progress dialog. Progress dialog is equal to new progress dialog on this activity. Then progress dialog dot set message. We just put it as registration in progress. Registration in progress. Then here, once the user click on it, we want, let me look at where we're supposed to put it. Once the user click on this button, we want the progress dialog to show. Then once the registration is successful, then progress dialog should dismiss. Progress dialog should dismiss. So let's come to the main activity and do the same thing. So on the main activity, we need edit text underscore email, edit text underscore password, private button, btn underscore login. Then we need a text view also. If the user is not yet registered, let the user go to the registration activity. So we use text view. Text view, we'll call it as go to register. We'll just call, let's name it text view new user. Text view new user. So come to this point, we say edit text email is equal to find view by id arrow.id dot email login. Edit text password is equal to find view by id arrow.id dot password login. Then we do it the same thing for the btn. Btn login is equal to find view by id arrow.id dot btn login. So the text view also, text view new user is equal to find view by id arrow.id dot go to register. Then we set an on-click listener to the text view new user so that when the user click on it, it should go to the registration activity for the user to register. So we start an intent, start activity, new intent, main activity dot this, then registration activity dot class. So what if the user has already registered and the user want to log in? How does the user log in? We set an on-click listener to the button login. New on-click listener. So whenever the user click on this button, what do we want the app to do? We want the app to take all the information from the user input from the edit text. So we set this one as email is equal to edit text email dot get text dot to string. Also for the password, call it password is equal to edit text password dot get text dot to string. Then we now bring in the Firebase authentication to authenticate the user. So we say Firebase auth, we call it auth. We come to this onCreate activity. Auth is equal to Firebase auth dot get instance. So we have initialized the Firebase, we can now use it. So say auth dot sign in user, sign in with email and password, email password dot add on complete listener, new on auth complete listener. So we end it with semicolon. So we say if task is successful, if task is successful, that the user login was successful, then what do we want the user to do? We'll give it a toast message. I will say login successful, login successful. Then what again? We take the user from this login main activity, which is the login, to the dashboard activity. So we'll use new intent main activity dot this dashboard activity dot class. Finish. So now our authentication is ready. Let's try to register a new user. So over here, we need to check if we have any users present. So if we check here, there is no user. Ensure that you enable this. Sign with email and password. So once it is enabled, so let's try to run this our app and see what will happen. I think we're having problem. What could be the problem? Firebase Auth is here. Let's update our dependency and see. So I think we just need our dependency was out of date, so it was having problem. So our app has been launched. So let's click on the registration activity. You can see that we can exchange between the registrations, between the activity. We can switch them. So let's register a user. Let's check the database if we have any user. Now there is no user, so let's try to register a new user. Let me just enter as the text color is in black. Let me change it to white. Let's do likewise for the main activity. So let's rerun the app. So it's okay now. Let's call it John Doe. So let's check the database. John Doe. Email, let's call it john@gmail.com. Password 123456. So it's registering. I think my network is very slow. So let's just refresh the database because it may not, it's not yet registered. Still registering. Let's check if it will give us any error if there's a mistake. I think the network is very slow. Let me try it on a real device. So guys, the network on my emulator was very slow, so I decided to use a Ray device. So on this Ray device, if I go over to the registration and try to register, so just watch, because the emulator was very slow. So I'm on my Ray device now. So let me just enter the name John Doe, the email, I'll call it john@gmail.com. Now let me show you the database that there is no information, no user on the database. So password 1 2 3 4 5 6. So let me click on register. See, registration successful. So let me try to log in. Before then, let me refresh the database. You can see john@gmail.com, john@gmail.com. So let me try to log in with that john@gmail.com. This input password is supposed to make it, this password is supposed to make it input password so that it will not show. So let me click on login. Login successful. You can see that it's showing that we should enter meeting code. This meeting code is supposed to make the hint to be, I'm supposed to make it as hints. So you can see that the authentication is successful now. So let me make some changes then, like the hints and the password input for the login. Then we proceed to complete the app. So on the main activity, I'll set input type text password. Then on the dashboard activity here, instead of text, I will use hints. Instead of text. So that is it. So one thing I want to do now is that we want to proceed to implement the SDK. We want to proceed to implement the SDK so that we can create video calls. We can be able to use the app. Remember that this video call is going to have chats. You can share it on YouTube, many features from this SDK. So let's begin. But before then, guys, before we proceed to create the SDK, this registration now, there's something I want to complete on the registration aspect. I want the user to be able to use his current, okay, I think what will be there is that so that the user, you'll be able to see the user name. The user will be able to, whenever the user register, the name should be able to appear. That's why we are using Firestore. That's why you see this Firestore, because here now, as the user is registered, has been registered, the information did not appear here, but we want the name, use the name, email and password to appear here. So what are we going to do about that? We'll create a model class. We'll call it user. Now this model class, we need the name, email, and password. We need the name, the email, and the password. So let's create an empty constructor. An empty constructor is required by Firebase. Then we create getters and setters. What I am doing is I'm just pressing Alt Insert. If you cannot do that, you just right click and generate, then you get all these things. So I will highlight everything and press enter. So here I have all this thing now. I will use this thing to get the user information to be inserted into the Firestore database. So what I'm going to do is that I will come to this point. I'll bring in the user model. I'll name it as user is equal to new user, then user dot set name. We enter the name here. User dot set email. We enter the email here. User dot set password. We enter the password here. Then now, for us to use this information, we'll come to this point. We'll say if the registration is successful, then at this point now, if tax is successful, at this point, we can now insert the information to the database. So for us to insert all this information to the Firestore, we'll bring in Firestore, Firebase, Firestore. We'll set it as database. We'll now come down to the onCreate. In the onCreate method, we initialize the Firestore. Say database is equal to firestore.get instance. So at this point now, after this successful message, we will say that database dot collection, and the collection will set it as user. So this collection is going to be created automatically by this our code into the database, into this place, this collection here. So when it's being created, we'll set it that dot documents dot set this user with all the information to the database dot add unsuccessful listener, new unsuccessful listener. We close it here. Then at this point, let's bring in everything here. We'll cut it here and put it here. So everything is set. So I think we can also test this one. Let's test it. Let me try with my emulator if it will work this time. If it doesn't work, I will use a array device. Let me call this one Sam Smith. Or let me set it as sam@gmail.com. Then the password 123456. I think the emulator is delaying, but what will be there is that I'll use my array device. But before I use the array device, let me proceed to complete the Skype function so that we'll be able to do video call. So let's go to the database, to the dashboard activity. At the dashboard activity, what we are supposed to do is this: for us to have a function for, I think I can still try another emulator since that one is not working. Let me close this one. So let's add the JC. Okay, we have already added it. We have already added the JC SDK. So as we have already added the JC SDK, there's some things we need to do. We need to bring in all the information, all the data from the dashboard. We need to bring in the inputs and the button, so that whenever the user will just create his own code. If he is the first person, he will create his own code, any code of his choice, and enter it. Once he enter it, he will create a meeting, a video call meeting. Then anybody that want to join the user can create. That person will now collect the code that the user created before and input into this edit text and click join. Once the person join, you will see both of them will see each other and they can communicate, see each other as video call, and can communicate with each other, can chat with each other. There's a chat platform that will pop up also for them to chat with each other if they like. They can talk with each other, they can see their location wherever they are. So that is how the app is going to work. Let me check if this one will work, this emulator will work. Let's check the okay, nothing has been selected. Let's check the users. It's only one user that is here. So let's try to register another one. Let's call this guy Sam Smith. Then Sam at gmail.com. Password 123456. Let me run it again. Let's check if the user was okay. The registration was successful, but the emulator stopped. I think is the fault is from the emulator, because when I use a real device it's working fine. So let's check the user, if the user information is at this database. Nevertheless, let's leave that. Let me check. I think I need to create a rule. So let's use, we have deny, we have this one is if the user is logged in, he can access, but let's just allow all. So click this. Go paste it here. Let's try to register another user. Please, if you want more understanding about these rules, please tell me. I think I will create a video for it. The emulator is disturbing. Okay, we'll fix that, but before then, that is not even too much important, but we'll work on it, we'll fix it. Let's go ahead and work on our Skype app. Let's try to log in into the app and see whether it will stop, because we need to fix things if things are not working. Is working, so I think it's the emulator, but the user information has not been stored to the database. Let me just manually create this user and see. I will check it on my real device while it's not working. So we already see that there's a place that we can enter the information, we can enter the code and join the meeting. So let's create this edit text. So we need private edit text. We call it edit text code inputs. We'll get another one, button join. So let's reference the two. Edit text code input is equal to find view by id arrow dot id dot edit text code input. Then button join is equal to find view by id arrow dot id dot btn btn join. So everything is set now. It's for us to connect to the server through the SDK to create a video call. So we set a variable. We set this Java function, this Java package called URL. We'll call it server URL. Then what again? What we are going to do is this. We are going to say server URL is equal to new URL, and in this URL we are going to set https://meet.jitsi.git.si. https://meet.jit.si. We'll now say Jitsi meeting conference options is equal to new Jitsi meeting conference option dot builder dot set on server dot set server URL. Then we bring in the server URL. Then dot set welcome page enable to false dot build. Then again we'll say Jitsi meet dot set default conference option. We bring in default I think we need to create this thing. Let me check. Jitsi meet does set default conference option. So I will say default option. Let me check where. I'm getting an error there. Let me do something. I'll clear that. Let me set this button on set. I'm having error. There's something that need to be imported into that place that is refusing to import. So I will check why it's not importing, but let me set this on click listing out to the button. So I will use Jitsi meeting conference option okay, see what is there. This option here is what I'm supposed to put here. Then here I'll just call it m_options is equal to new GC meeting option dot meeting option dot set room. Then here now what we are going to do is that we are going to take the input. We are going to bring in this set room is where that code that you entered supposed to be here. So we set, how did we name that edit text? We set edit text code input dot get text dot to string. Then the next thing dot set welcome page enable false dot build. Then we'll now say GC meet activity dot launch. We'll say dashboard activity dot this. Then we bring in the M options. Let's check where we're having error. We're having error here. Let's hover on it. So we should surround it with try cache. So we'll just bring in everything here. You know that this server URL has been surrounded with try cache. So what we are going to do is that we just bring in everything here into the try cache block. So let's just cut it from here and paste it here. You see that everything is alright. So let's go over our code again. The first thing we did is that we set the URL to get the GC. If I click Control and click on this URL, it will open in the browser. You can see that it has opened in the browser. So look at it here. So that is the company that owns the SDK. So I will set URL as a Java package. Then the URL will be set, we get the gist URL. Then once you get the gist URL, we'll set gist meeting conference option is equal to new conference option builder. Then the set server URL, then the URL will be into this place. Then the set welcome page enable to false build. They will set gist meet the set default conference. We take this option and insert into this place. Then we'll surround everything with try cache. Then on the login button, we set GC meet conference m option is equal to new GC meeting conference option build the set room. Then here is where our code will enter. The set welcome page enable, don't want the welcome page to be enabled build. Then GC meet activity launch. Then once you click on the button, it takes the code and send to their user and return you with a response of the activity for video call. Hope you understand. So I think at this point our app is ready, but I'm going to test it on a real device because our emulator is disturbing. But nevertheless, let me try it on the emulator if it will work. So we have login. So let's create a code. Let's just say 1 2 3 A B C. So you can see it's asking for permission. So because it's an emulator, so that's why it's showing like this. So you can see that at this point you can talk on the video call, you can chat, you can type in information, and send your chats. So you can chat with people, you can create poll, you can ask questions, then people will reply. You can decide there's other options here. If you click here, you check the people that are currently using. You can record the meeting, you can share the video, to YouTube or direct link. There are many information. So what will be there is that I will test it on my real device and I will get back to you. So but because it's an emulator, that's why it's showing this way. So thank you if you follow along to this point. I think you can test it on your real device and see how it works, but I will do that. So I will test it in the next video. Hello guys, so our app is working very well. It's our emulator that is misbehaving. So whenever I try to, even the registration aspect that I registered the user and I was expecting the user information to be displayed here. When I use a real device, the information was displayed. It's our emulator that is misbehaving. So I've learned to be using real device instead of emulator. So at this point now, I want to connect multiple devices to test our video call. I want to connect about 2 phones and emulator. So let me run the app on this emulator. So here I will create a code. This is my real device here. I will just create a code I'll create a code. Just name it video. 1 2 3. Video 1 2 3. I will join the chat. I'll click join meeting. So here I will log in here. So you can see that our video is showing. So I want to log in on this emulator. So the code is video 1 2 3. So let us join here and see. Let's see how it's going to show. Let me join with another device again. So you can see that one is showing here and one other one is showing here, to show that another user has joined the chat again. So let me try to join. I want to bring in another user again. Hello guys. Can you see that our video call is now working very fine? So I think this is me. You can see my face. I'm on one of the device. I'm using a real phone. So you can notice it that I left the mic which I used to record. So I'm now using the main app to communicate to communicate with other devices, both the emulator and another phone. So I'm using two phones, and that is two real device and one emulator. The reason why it's cracking like this is because of network. So you can see that our video call chat app is working, our Skype clone is working. So please subscribe to the channel, hit on the like button and share the video with your friend. Alright, so I will, let me send a chat. Let me try chatting. Is my microphone, I'm not, I think it's my device mic that is disturbing, and secondly the network. I'll just send the chat now. So on the other device, I'm just going to check the chat. Okay, I'm supposed to enter my name first. That place that I wrote, I was writing something, is my name that's supposed to be there. Let me click on the chat. My device is really slow. You see that the first place I'm supposed to just enter my name. It's my name that I'm supposed to enter first. Please, the reason why it's breaking like this is due to the network. Please bear with me. So thank you for this little application that we just developed. Subscribe to the channel and share it with friends.